So hello everyone, my name is Yuri. I'm the head of partnership team here at Devart, and together with me today, Akil. He is our technical specialist, SSIS expert, who will help us to show you a technical part of today's webinar. So let's get started. We are all here to learn new skills and improve data management, so you're at the right place. Today, we will show you SSIS in action, demonstrating how it simplifies complex data workflows. Our webinar has two parts. First, a quick overview of SSIS and Davart's SSIS components, then a technical walkthrough on building an SSIS solution to integrate multiple platforms. And let's go. So, in this webinar, we are focusing on e-commerce business with data spread across multiple systems. MySQL for customer orders, PostgreSQL for the seller app, Salesforce for CRM, and Zoho Books for accounting. The goal is to regularly synchronize the data from these systems to track order status, paid, contacted, or pending. Then segment customers and generate emails lists for marketing and customer services follow-ups. We will demonstrate to you on how to automate these processes with SSIS. Let me introduce SQL Server Integration Services, or SSIS, a powerful Microsoft tool for data integration and workflow automation. SSIS handles complex data tasks across various sources, offering flexibility to connect and integrate data from multiple systems and platforms seamlessly. SSIS is also a ETL tool that automates extracting data from source systems, transforming it into desired format, and loading it to the target destinations. SQL Server Integration Services standout feature is it has user-friendly GUI and allowing you to build robust data workflows without heavy coding, perfect for both beginners and advanced users. All right, so let's dive into the next part and find out what SSIS can do for your data. SSIS excels and importing and exporting data across systems and formats, making it seamless. It's also a great migrating data from legacy systems to modern platforms like the cloud with minimal disruption. SSIS ensures real-time or scheduled synchronization for data across multiple systems, and it supports data replication for availability and disaster recovery. Finally, SSIS automates regular backups to protect critical data from loss or corruption. With all these features, it makes managing your data so much easier, cutting down on manual tasks and keeping everything consistent and secure. SSIS offers secure, reliable infrastructure with Microsoft's top security standards, ensuring data integrity throughout the integration process. It also complies with industry regulations, making it ideal for data-sensitive sectors like finance and healthcare. Another key feature is that SSIS solutions are self-hosted. This means everything is hosted on your own infrastructure, giving you complete control on servers and security measures. So you can tailor the environment to meet your specific business needs, and it ensures that the sensitive data stays under the direct management. When we talk about cost-effective maintenance, SSIS really shines. With self-hosting, you can have fixed costs, so you only pay for servers you're using with predictable pricing. Unlike cloud servers where costs can exponentially rise based on usage on storage. SSIS allows you controlled budget-friendly expenses. There are no surprise fees or variable pricing, which helps reduce the overhead. This setup makes SSIS the ideal solution for businesses that deal with sensitive or privacy-regulated data. Whether it's GDPR compliance, HIPAA, or any other privacy standards, SSIS ensures you're meeting those strict regulations. By hosting on a self-managed secure infrastructure, you can control access to the data directly, significantly reducing the risk of unauthorized access or breaches. And finally, let's talk about extensibility. One of the great things about SSIS is how customizable it is. You can extend its functionality through custom components making it adaptable to your specific needs. It's also incredibly flexible, so as new data sources and formats come into play, SSIS can easily evolve to handle them, keeping your data integration processes future-proof and efficient. Let's explore our SSIS components. This high-performance component supports over 50 data sources, including major databases like MySQL, PostgreSQL, data warehouses like Amazon Redshift and Snowflake, cloud services like CRM, e-commerce platforms, etc. Each component is optimized for seamless connectivity and performance. The word source editor offers SQL support for precise data extraction and manipulation, while high-performance lookup components ensuring quick, accurate data matching. The destination components enable fast, efficient data loading, ensuring smooth scaling without performance issues. With Devart, you can integrate data faster, more accurately, and with minimum flexibility. Now let's talk about Devar's flexibility with its two product versions. You can start with a 30-day free trial, giving you plenty of time to test the functionality and performance in your specific data integration environment. Simply visit the Devart website to find and download the SSIS component that fits your needs. Installation is quick and hassle-free, so you can start integrating data with just a few clicks. No complex setups required. Additionally, on the Avart website, you will find a wealth of instructions and resources on installing and configuring your SSS infrastructure and packages. So don't worry, you will have all support you need to get started. And I'm thrilled to announce Aqil Ahmed. Aqil runs the popular YouTube channel Learn SSIS, where he shares tutorials, tips, and insights on mastering SSIS. Today, he'll demonstrate you how to develop an SSIS project in real time, giving you a hands-on look and building a seamless data integration workflow. Aqil, thank you for joining us today. I'm passing the word to you. Hello.
Yeah, thank you, Yuri. Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you well, and I see
Okay.
your screen, so we can
All
get
right.
started.
All right. So today we are going to fetch data from four different sources: MySQL, PostgreSQL, Salesforce, and Zoho Books. And then we will do some data transformation services. And after some data transformation, we will actually insert the data into PostgreSQL database into different tables based on the different criterias. And we'll also insert the data into the MailChimp as well, so that the MailChimp can be used to send the emails further. So here we are going to look at is one of the scenario that there is an e-commerce project that has a website based on the MySQL database, and then there is a seller application based on a PostgreSQL database, and Salesforce is used as the CRM, and Zoho Books is used as the accounting service. So we have four different sources, and then we have two different destinations. So let's see how we can write the SSIS package to migrate data from four different sources, do some transformation, and insert data into the two different destinations using the data flow components from Devart. So this is my Visual Studio 2019 that we are going to use today. So to migrate the data, we will be using the data flow task. So we can simply drag and drop the data flow task into the control flow window, and then we can configure this one. So our first source, it will be the MySQL source. Okay, so we can use the MySQL component. So we can type MySQL and it will show us the components from the Devart. So I have Devart installed on my machine. So that's why I can see different components here. So I can simply use the MySQL source component into the data flow task, which can actually fetch data from MySQL. So I have MySQL installed on my machine. This is MySQL workbench, and I got a customer database, and in the customer database, I got few tables. So if you want to, for example, see data from the MySQL, so we will be using the two tables here. The orders table, which contains some data for different orders, and then there is a customers table which contains data for different customers. Okay, so we will be actually pulling the data from two different tables, orders and customers, based on a inner join on the customer ID, and we will be selecting data from two different tables. So if I show you the data, so this particular data we will be fetching from the MySQL. So to connect to the MySQL, we can simply use the divert component from MySQL. So we don't need to write any line of code. We can simply just make a connection to the MySQL using the divert MySQL source editor. So there is an option MySQL connection. So we can simply create a new connection manager here, and we don't need to write any single line of code, and we just need to provide the connection string, and that's it, and it can actually fetch the data from the MySQL site. So here we need to just provide some basic details like the server name. So I can go to here, and from the database I can click on connect to database, and I can get the host name from here, which I can provide here. And then I need to provide the username. So the username for the MySQL is root. I can copy this one, paste it here, and then I need to provide the password for the root user. So I have saved my passwords at the key pass, so I can provide the password here, save my password, and then I can click on the drop down. So it will display all the available databases in the MySQL. So we are interested in the customer database. So I selected this one, and then I can click on test connection. So the test connection is successful, so that's good. So I can click OK. So we have successfully made a connection to the MySQL in just simple clicks. And now on the left side I can see the customer database, and if you expand this one, so I can see all the different tables from the customer database. For example, if you want to see the data in one of the tables, so you can simply drag and drop the table into the query window, and it can automatically generate the select statements for that particular table. If you want to preview data, so you can click here, and you can preview data from without running the package. You can simply preview data here as well. So I can close this one. So I want to select the data using the inner join query. So I can copy the query from here, and I can paste the query in the query window. And if I click on preview, so I can still see the data here. So that's good. So I can click close, and I can click OK. So we have configured one of the source here, which is the MySQL source. Now we need to select data from another source, which will be the Salesforce source. So I have an account on the Salesforce, and if you want to, for example, select data from Salesforce, so we can use the developer console app. So I can click here, developer console, and here we can write the SQL queries to select the data. Okay, so let me copy the query like that I will use. So I will use this query to select the data from the contact table. We have different tables here in the Salesforce side. So if I click on execute, so it will actually execute the query on the Salesforce side. So we are selecting only 10 records from here. If you need to select more records or less records, so you can just change the this query option here. So if I change the query to 5, so it will return only the 5 records. Okay, so that's fine. So now we want to fetch the data from the Salesforce or from the SSIS package. So we have a component. So I can type Salesforce here, and it will display the component from the divert. So we can simply drag and drop the component into the data flow task, and then we can simply configure this one. We need to make a connection to the Salesforce, so so that it can connect and it can fetch the data from any table that we want. So now we just need to provide all the details so that it can make a connection to the Salesforce. So I can go back again, and there is I can go to edit entry. So this URL you will get once you will create an account on the Salesforce side. So you will get this URL, and then you need to provide your username, password, and the security token as well. So if you have an account on the Salesforce, then you should have all these details. So let me copy the security token from here, and then I can actually get the username and the password. So I can copy the username, and I can provide the details here, and then I can actually copy the password as well, and I can provide the password. So these details you need to provide and then I can click on test connection. So the connection is successful, so that's good. So I can click OK. So we are able to make a connection to the Salesforce now. So on the left side, you can see all the objects from the Salesforce. Suppose if you want to fetch data from any object, so you can click on that one, and you can also view the columns in that particular object. And same way, if you want to preview data from any table, so you can simply drag and drop into the query window, and you can click on preview. So this will actually fetch the data from that particular table. Okay. So for Salesforce, I want to execute this query. I want to fetch only 10 records, only selected columns. So I can paste the query here and I can preview data. So it will display only the required columns and only 10 records. So I can click OK. So this way we have actually configured two sources, MySQL source and the Salesforce source, to fetch the data from these two sources. Now we also want to fetch the data from PostgreSQL as well. So I have pgadmin 4 tool and I have PostgreSQL installed here. Right now I have two databases, Postgres and the e-commerce. So in the Postgres database, inside the public schema, I got four different tables here. So inside these four tables, we got some data that we can use to fetch data from the Postgres. So we will be using the sellers and the seller orders table. So the seller table contains the data for different sellers like this one. And same way, there is some data from the seller orders as well, like order ID. So we can actually use this particular query to join these two tables together, and it can fetch data from both the different tables, like some columns from one table and other columns from different table. So now to connect to the PostgreSQL, we can simply drag and drop the components from Divert. We don't need to like write any kind of code or need to install any driver or something. So we can simply type Postgres and then we can use the PostgreSQL source here. Now, same way we can just right click edit and then we can make a new connection here so that it can connect to the PostgreSQL. And now we need to provide all the details like the server name, username, password, all the basic details like those we provided for the MySQL. So for getting the user server name, we can right click on the server name properties. From the connection, we can get the server name from here. We can provide the server name and then we can check the port number. So port number is 5433. So we need to provide the port number here 5433, and then we need to provide the username. So I can provide username here. Then we need to provide the password here. Save my password. Then we can click on the drop down. So it will show you the databases. So our source tables are inside the Postgres database. So I can select this database, test connection. So the connection is successful. So I can click OK. OK. On the left side, you can see all the different tables inside that particular database. So we got four tables. If you want to preview data from any table, so you can see the data here. But I want to select data based on this particular query. So I can write my query here and I can preview data. So these are the columns and data that will be fetched when the package will run. So I can click OK. So far we have configured three sources. Now the fourth source will be the Zoho Books source. So I have my account on the Zoho Books, and if you see here, so it contains data for different items, like we got data for different customers, then we got data for invoices. So for invoices, these are the records, like 5 records for the invoices, and the invoice status is paid for 3 records. For one it is draft, and for another one it is overdue. So we will be fetching the data from the invoice table. So for connecting to the Zoho Books, we can type Zoho Books here, and there is a component for the Zoho Books. So we can just drag and drop the source component for the Zoho Books, and we can configure this one. So we can make a connection here. So a new connection that will be connected to the Zoho Books account. So we just need to provide some simple details, and then we should be good to connect. So here from the data center, I can select the Europe because my account is using this data center, and I simply need to click on the web login. So it's trying to connect to my account. I can click next. and then I need to just click on accept because it want to select, it want to get the data uh, from the Zoho Books. So the connection was successful. I can click on test connection. So the connection is successful. So I can click OK. Okay. Now from the left side, you can see all the different tables here. If you want to select data from any specific table, so you can simply drag and drop the table into the query window and you can preview data. Then it will actually display the data from that particular table for different for all the columns. So you can see that there is a lot of records data available in that particular table, but I'm interested only some specific columns. So I want to select the data from the invoices table. So I can paste the query here and I can click on the preview data. So this is displaying the data for 5 orders from the invoice table, and the status of different orders is this one, like paid or overdue or draft. Okay, so I can click OK. So this way we have actually configured the 4 different sources. Okay, and now what we will do, we will actually combine the data from first 2 sources into one different output, and then we will combine data from these 2 sources into one different output, and then we will finally combine all the data together, and then we'll insert data based on some conditions and after some transformations into the PostgreSQL and into the MailChimp. So we want to combine the data into one different output. So for combining the data, we can use the merge join in SSIS. So I can simply drag and drop the merge join transformation. But before using the merge join, we always need to sort data. So that's why we need to use the sort transformation here. So I can simply drag and drop the sort transformation into the data flow task. Okay, so we can actually combine the data based on a similar column. So if you see here, we got order ID, we got email here, and then on the right side, we got the email. So it seems like we can join the data based on the email. So we need to sort the data on the same column. So I can select the email from here, click OK. Same way, I can sort the data based on the email from the right side as well. Now I can connect the sort transformation to the merge join, and it will be used as the left input. So similar to the joins in the SQL server, like we have inner join, left join, full outer join. Same way we have the joins in the SSIS, and this the left table will be used as the, like MySQL will be used as a left table. So I can click OK. Now from the right side, by default it will be used as the right table. So I can connect the sort transformation with the merge join, and then I can just simply configure this one. So the join type will be inner join, and it has automatically have done it join on the email column because we sorted data based on this particular column. Now we want to select all columns from the left table so that in the final output all columns will be used from the left table. However, from the right table, I want to add, for example, like the phone, then title, then account ID, and then this one assistant name. So all these columns, like the sort one, these 4 columns I have added from the right table. So I can click OK. So we have now we have combined the data from 2 different sources into one different output. Same way we want to do for the PostgreSQL and for the Zoho Books as well. So I can use a sort transformation again because I want to use a merge join. So I can just simply use the to sort transformation, and then I can use a merge join transformation. So if you look at the data here, so we got the order ID here, and now on the another one, we got the order ID here as well. So it means we can join based on the order ID column. So I can sort the data based on the order ID. Okay. And from the right side, I can also join the data based on the order ID. So I can click OK. Now I can connect the sort transformation with the merge join. So this will be used as the left output, left input, and this one will be used as the right input. Now I can double click on it. So it's saying that both inputs of the transformation must contain at least one sorted column, and those columns must have matching metadata. So we have actually we have sorted the data based on the order ID. So it means that their metadata might be different. So if you want to check the metadata for these columns, so you can double click here and then you can check the metadata. So for order ID, the data type is DTI4, which means it's int32. And now if I click the metadata for the order ID, so it is DT underscore WSTR, which is nvarchar 255. So they should be exactly same. Either they should be nvarchar or they should be integer. So let me convert it to integer using the data conversion transformation. So I can use a data conversion transformation and I can change the data type of the order ID. Okay, so I can connect the Zoho Books with the data conversion transformation and then I can select the order ID. Now from the data type, I can use 4-byte signed integer. So it created a new column, copy of order ID, and then I can connect the data conversion with the sort 3 transformation. And here instead of the order ID column, I can use the copy of order ID. So now the data type of copy of order ID is same whatever is the data type for the first one. So now we should be good now. So I can double click on it and the join type will be inner join here, so that because I want to select only the matching data from both the tables. So you can see that now the join is based on the order ID and on the copy of order ID. So I want to select all columns from left side, and from the right side I want to select like invoice number, then date, status. So date will be the invoice date. So I can type invoice, I can name the column as invoice date, and then I can name the column as invoice status. So we are selecting the 3 columns from the right side: invoice number, invoice date, and the invoice status. So I can click OK. So now from the 4 different input, now we actually created 2 different output. Okay. Now we want to combine these 2 input with a single output. Okay. So to combine the data, we will again use the merge join transformation. So I can simply drag and drop the merge join transformation into the data flow task. Now, if you look here on the left side, we were using the email column, and on the right side, we were using the order ID column. So now we need to combine the data based on a similar column. So we have a similar column order ID on the left side as well, because if you see here, we have order ID here, and then on the right side, we have the order ID here as well. So it means like we can join the data based on the order ID. So for that particular thing, the order ID should be, the data should be sorted based on the order ID. So on the right side, it is already sorted based on the order ID. So we don't need to sort here again. But on the left side, it was sorted based on the email. So we need to sort it based on the order ID. So that's why we need to use a sort transformation on the left side. So I can simply drag and drop a sort transformation here, and I can sort the data based on order ID. Click OK. Now this will be used as the left input source. Now from right side, this will be used as the right source. And the join type we will use at inner join. And now we will select all columns from left side. However, from the right side, we can select the like seller ID, then seller name. We can use invoice number, invoice date, invoice status. So these columns we have selected from the right side. So I can click OK. So now data is combined into one single output. Okay. And now I want to add some additional columns into the data flow. For example, I want to add the current date time. I want to add the machine name. I want to add the username. So for doing that particular thing, for adding some additional columns, we can use the derived column transformation. So I can simply drag and drop the derived column transformation, and then I can configure the derived column transformation here. To get the current date time, we can use the get date function from the SSIS, and I can call it as created. And now to get the machine name, we can use the system variables, and there is a system variable machine name that I can use here. And I can call this particular column as machine name. Same way, I can add use a system variable username. The username can be used to get the name of the user who is running the package. So I can call it as user name. Now, if you look at the data type, so the data type of the first column is nvarchar 15. However, the data type of second column is nvarchar 18. But what I want is that I want the final data as varchar 50. Okay, so I want to do some data type conversion. So for typecast, we have some inbuilt functions here. So I can use this one dt underscore str, and I need to provide the length here. So I can provide the length as 50, and the code page I can provide is 1252. So this will convert the data type to varchar 50. Same function, same data type I can give for the second, this third column as well. So we have added 3 additional columns here in the data flow and change the data type here. So I can click OK. So now we have used the derived column transformation. Now after that, we can use a multicast transformation because we want to send our data to multiple output. Like we want to send the data to PostgreSQL as well, and as well as to MailChimp. So we can use a multicast transformation. So I can type multicast here, and I can simply drag and drop the multicast transformation into the data flow task, and I can connect the derived column with the multicast. Now, after the multicast, we can use a conditional split transformation because if uh, yeah, there is one additional thing that in the PostgreSQL database, we want to insert the data. Like if you see this one, we want to send the data to the PostgreSQL database. So I had two PostgreSQL database. The first database, it contains the source table. However, the e-commerce database, this contains the destination tables. So if you expand the schemas, so in the tables, we got 4 tables here. So I can type query tool. So we have like paid orders table, pending orders, other orders, phone list. So these 4 tables, they will be actually populated from the data from 4 different sources. So right now inside the paid orders table, we don't have any data. Same way, the pending orders table, this is empty as well. The other order, this is also empty. And if you look at the phone list table, so this is also empty. So all 4 tables are empty, and they are at the PostgreSQL uh, system inside the e-commerce database. So I want to write the data into these 4 tables. So based on some condition, we want to split the data across these tables. So for the first 3 table, we will use a conditional split transformation to split the data based on the order status. And for the phone list, we will actually insert all data, all the phone numbers along with the customer name, phone number, customer ID into this particular table. So from the multicast, we will use a conditional split transformation so that the data can be splitted according to the condition. So I can use a conditional split transformation here, and then I can connect the multicast with the conditional split transformation. And then I can double click this one and I can write a condition here. So my condition will be according to the invoice status. So we got a column invoice status. So I can drag and drop into the a condition here, and I can write a condition like if invoice status equal to paid, then it will be sent to the paid orders. Okay. Same way, if the invoice status is overdue, then it will be sent to the pending orders. And now all the default, all the other remaining orders, they will be sent to the conditional split default output, and then they will be inserted to the other orders table. So I can click OK. And now we need to use the PostgreSQL destination so that the data can be written into the different PostgreSQL tables. Like this will be called as paid orders. Okay. And I can copy and paste this one. Now this will be called as pending orders. And then the third one, this will be called as other orders. Now I can connect the first conditional split with the paid orders, and from the output I can select paid orders. For this one, I can select the pending orders, and for third one, it will select the other orders. Okay, so we have connected the conditional split transformation with the PostgreSQL destination. However, we have not created a connection to the PostgreSQL for the e-commerce database, because the first connection that we created, that was connecting to the Postgres database. However, our source database and destination database, they are different. So we need to make a new connection. So I can right click on new connection. And now here we need to make a connection to the e-commerce database onto the PostgreSQL. So this will display us the connection manager, and from here I can select the Devart PostgreSQL. I can click add, and again this will display us the connection manager pane, where we need to provide the like the server name, all the details, port number. So I can go back to the PostgreSQL, right click here, properties, connection. The server name is this one, localhost, and then the port number is 5433. Now the username I can copy from here, and then I need to provide the password. Save my password. Now from the database I can select the e-commerce database. Test connection. So the test connection is succeeded. I can click OK. OK. Now I can just rename this particular connection manager to e-commerce, so that I can easily figure out like this is the e-commerce Postgres connection. Okay. So now I can configure the paid orders. So from the connection manager, I can select the e-commerce connection manager. From component properties, here I can select the table name. So the table name should be paid orders. For this one, I can go to the column mappings. So the input columns have been mapped with the destination columns. Click OK. So we have configured paid orders. Same way we need to configure the pending orders. From the table name, we need to select the pending orders. Okay, so it will do a bulk insert operation here. Okay, from the mapping, this is good. I can click OK. Now I need to select the other orders. Same thing, e-commerce PostgreSQL. Then I need to select the component properties. From here, we need to select the other orders. Okay, go to column mappings. All input columns are mapped here automatically. Okay, so I can click OK. So we have configured like we have made a connection to the three different tables. However, there was one additional table as well, uh, that's called as phone list. Phone list will contain all the phone numbers of the different customers. So for that one, we can take an output from the multicast and can directly insert the data into the phone list. So I can use another PostgreSQL destination here, and I can call it as phone list, and I can connect the multicast with the phone list. So from the connection manager, I can use the e-commerce PostgreSQL. From component properties, I can select that phone list option. Yeah, this table, column mappings, and click OK. So we have just um, mapped the data to insert data into the PostgreSQL database. Now we also need to insert the data into the MailChimp as well. So I have an account on the MailChimp. Let me log into the account, and right now it contains only 2 records. So the MailChimp is used to send the emails to different customers. So if you go to, for example, audiences, so inside the all contacts, you can see the list of contacts, like list of email addresses. So right now I have only 2 email addresses, Akil33, and for this one, Sophia Jackson. So I have only 2 records available right now. Okay, so I want to insert the data into the MailChimp from the SSIS package. So we can use the MailChimp component from Devart. So we have components for different, like for a lot of different sources and for a lot of different destinations, we have the components. So you simply need to just drag and drop the component into the data flow, and you can use them. You just need to make a connection to that particular source and just configure it, and that's it. You don't need to write like any code in C# or something. So now I can actually make a connection to the MailChimp. Right click, new connection. So this will actually open the connection manager pane, where you can select the Devart MailChimp connection manager, and then you can just provide the details here. So I can select the Dev MailChimp, and then I need to click on add. So this way it will open a connection manager pane where I think we simply need to log into our account so that it can actually verify that the account is correct. So we can click on web login, and then we need to provide the username and password login. So now it's saying like, do you want to allow the Dev SSIS component to access your account? So I can say allow, because we want to insert the data into the MailChimp. So authorization is successful, so that's good. I can go back and I can test the connection. So the connection is successful, so that's good news. I can click OK. So now we have created a connection manager for the MailChimp as well. So that's good. Now I can connect the multicast transformation with the MailChimp, and then I can configure the MailChimp here. From the connection manager, I can use the Devart MailChimp connection manager. From the component properties, from the object name, there is a list members table actually. The list members table contains the email addresses of different people. Now we can go to the column mappings, and inside the column mapping, we need to actually map the columns. The most important column is the email ID that will be used to send the email to different persons. And now we can map the other columns like the first name. So we can map first name here, last name, because there is a space on the last name on the right side and there is no space on left side, so that's why it did not get mapped automatically. So we can manually map them as well. Now we can map the phone number as well. So this is phone number, and there is a full name, so we can map the customer name. So the important columns are mapped. Now there are two important columns. There is a MailChimp ID and there is a list ID. So this list ID, this will be unique for all the records, and this ID, this should be the list ID. This will be actually same for all the records. So when you create an account on the Mailchimp, so you can use the Devart component from Devart component, and you can use the source component to fetch the data from the Mailchimp. So as soon as you will fetch the data from the MailChimp and will insert the data into a SQL Server table or into a CSV file, so you can actually see the value for the list ID. Same way you can actually see the values for the ID, like for the existing, like right now I have two email ID on the MailChimp. So if you fetch the data into a database, so you can actually see the values of the ID and you can see the value of the list ID. ID should be unique and list ID can be same for all the records. Okay. So we need to, so at the time of inserting the data to the MailChimp, we need to provide the values for these two columns as well. So to add the values to these two columns, I can add a derived column transformation in between, and I can add two extra columns, one for ID and another one for list ID. So I can use the derived column transformation here. So this one, and I can connect the multicast with the derived column, and then I can add two new columns here. So the one column will be the MailChimp ID. So I can just simply copy and paste this one. So if you see here, like the first few column, these first few characters, this will be same. However, we are appending the order ID, and order ID will be unique for every record. So this will make a unique ID. Okay. So I can call this particular column as ID, and then the second column will be the list ID. So this will be same for all the records. So you can check, like you can use the component and you can get data from Mailchimp, so you can easily figure out like what is the list ID for your account. So for my account, this is the list ID that I will be using. So I can call this particular column as list ID. So you simply need to add these two columns, and now we are good. So I can click OK, and then I can connect the derived column with the Devart MailChimp destination. I can configure this one, and then I can go to the column mapping. Now for the ID, I can map the ID column, and same way I can map the list ID column as well. So we should be good. It can insert the data for email, and then for full name, then first name, last name, phone number, all these details. Okay. So at my MailChimp account, I have only two records. I can again refresh the data so that you can see that there were only two records here. So it should ideally insert 5 additional records, and you can insert as many records as you want. So these are the column names. So our SSIS package is ready, and it can be executed. So before executing the package, we can actually save it, okay, and then we can actually build the SSIS package so that it can actually, the build is required before running the package. I think it can help us because if you want to, for example, deploy the package to some different server or something, so we can actually build the project. So as soon as the project will be built, then we can run the package. And yeah, so here if you see, we use the 4 different sources from Devot. We did not written any single line of code, and we simply just made some connection to different sources. Like to MySQL, we simply provided the server name, username, password, port number. Same way we provided the details for the PostgreSQL as well. And for Salesforce, we provided like the host name, username, password, and the token which is available when you create an account on the Salesforce. And on Zoho Books, it was so simple that we just simply, uh, verified our account. Okay, so the build has completed successfully. So that's good news. So now we should be good to execute the package. So when the package will run, it will fetch data from 4 different sources. So from first 2 sources, it will actually combine data, will make one output. Then from these 2 sources, it will combine data, will make one output. Then it will again combine data into single output. Then it will add 3 additional columns here. Then using the multicast, it will insert the 5 records into the phone list table on PostgreSQL. And then using the conditional split transformation according to the data in the database. So like for 3 records here, if you see the status of 3 records is paid. So 3 records should be inserted to the paid orders table. So right now the paid orders table is empty. However, the 3 records should be inserted here. And now one record should be inserted to the pending orders, and one record should be inserted to the other orders table. And in the phone list table, all 5 records should be inserted to the phone list table. And on the MailChimp side, all 5 records should be added here. Okay. So yeah, we are good to run the package. So let's click on the start button. So this should actually pull the data from 4 different sources. And then after some transformation, it should insert the data into the PostgreSQL database and into the MailChimp. So finger crossed. So right now it's trying to uh, connect to the different systems and trying to get the data. So yeah, so the package is running. So it has actually inserted the data into the PostgreSQL. Here it inserted as expected 3 records. It inserted to the paid orders table. So you can go back to the database and can check the data inside the paid orders table. 3 records are inserted, and these are the paid orders. So you can check the status here that the invoice status is paid. Now one record has been inserted to the pending orders. So you can go to the pending orders and you can check the data here. So the invoice status is overdue here. One record got should be inserted to the other orders. So you can check the data here as well that it's draft. And inside the phone list, you should see the 5 records. So here is the customer ID, their name, phone numbers, and this is the current date time when the package was executed. This is machine name, and this is the username. So it inserted the data into the PostgreSQL and into the MailChimp as well. If you open the MailChimp, so you should see the 5 additional email IDs here. So if I refresh the my web page, then I should see the 5 additional records here. So you can see 5 additional email IDs here. So yeah, so it's so simple that within few clicks, you can easily write your code in the SSIS. So for example, if you are coming from a background where you don't know, like maybe C# or something, or even if you know C#, then it can take you several weeks to several months to write the code into, write the code to access data from different sources. And yeah, we have spent so much time to uh, you know provide you a better option here. So even you can use the variables here. So if you have like some user defined variable or some system variable, so you can use the variables inside the query as well to make the query dynamic. Yeah. So um, yes, so this was the demo, like how you can use the different components. So we have 50 plus components. So you can simply read data from any source and you can write data into any destination. So yeah, that was for this particular demo.
Great.
So
Thank
any
you so
questions?
much, Akil. It was really great that we took all of this data and put in different tables. All right,
Yeah,
then.
thanks.
So thank you so much once again. Dear attendees, please write your questions in the chat if you have them. We will be answering by the end of the presentation. And now we have a few more slides for you. Let me start presenting. Give me a second. Okay, so that's my screen, and it's time to talk about the pricing and licensing right now. How to license Devert SSIS components. So there are two main pricing models available. Of course, that's the perpetual and subscription. Perpetual, you may once have a lifetime license of the product. With this option, you get 1 year of support and maintenance and upgrades free of cost. And you can extend this support for up to 3 years or even more if it is required for your project or tender. So let us know. And the subscription provides you 1 year of access to the product with support and upgrades included of the entire subscription period. So to continue using the product, you must renew your subscription annually. And the difference, of course, the perpetual will be still valid, but even if the support and maintenance is expired. But if you would like to get an update, of course, you have to renew your license to get the latest version of our product. Additionally, there are three editions to choose from. So Developer Edition, ideal for individual developer or small teams. Server Edition, best for server-based deployments and larger team or enterprise environment. And the Site License, a complete solution for organizations needing a wide-scale deployment across multiple sites. For those looking for extra support, Dart also offers priority support. This optional and add-on provides faster response time and direct access to senior support engineers for any critical issues you may encounter. So if you have any questions about the pricing models, which or any addition is the best fit for you, so you and basically for your needs, feel free to write your questions in the chat and we'll be glad to answer them. So moving next. So why choose Devert? Yeah, so let's discuss the key advantages of choosing Devert for SSIS needs. Comprehensive support. So with Devert, you have access to a dedicated support team that knows the ins and outs of every Devert product. Whether you're facing technical challenges or need guidance, their team is ready to assist you with expert level knowledge. Regular updates, so Devert is committed to constantly improving this product, so you'll receive frequent updates that enhance the functionality and performance of your SSIS products. Many connectors. So one of major strengths of Devert SSIS components is a fast range of connectors. Devert regularly adds new components for emerging data sources, ensuring you have all the tools for the latest platforms. And of course, detailed documentation. Devert also offers comprehensive documentation to support you every step of the way. From step-by-step guides to tutorials to detailed examples, you'll have all the resources to implement and optimize your SSIS solutions efficiently. When you choose Devert, you get a complete, reliable solution with ongoing support and enhancements. And thank you so much for all you for participation and engagement throughout today's webinar. We hope you've gained valuable insights to help your data integration journey. Stay connected with us for more resources, updates, and support as you continue working with SSIS and Devert SSIS components. Now we're opening up to a Q&A session, so feel free to ask anything you want. We will try to reply to any questions you might have. And of course, you will get the recording of this webinar, and you can contact us at sales@devar.com if you have any sales questions, or partners at devar.com for partnership. Okay, I see that we have no questions so far. Thank you so much again for being with us today. Let's stay in touch and have a good the rest of the day. Bye-bye.